Hello, good afternoon. I always struggle with the first few words that come out of my mouth. Essentially, as the title says, it's one of those times in my life, my mental health demands. I reassess everything, and because it's taken quite a bit out of me, I find it easier just to distract myself prior to figuring out what I'm going to do, and expressing and just getting some of this extra oxygen I've got inside of me out. I thought might be a good way to do that. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about. The only thing that came to mind before was to give people a technology lesson or a science lesson. So I'm going to go with that. I didn't want to because the concept isn't so clear in my own mind, but I should be able to express something so it's understandable enough, at least, I hope. So I've mentioned before, I'm in the process of purchasing a boat, and I've lived on a boat before, and I didn't really get clued up with all the engine side of stuff or the boat specific plumbing. I did a bit, but I didn't really get it. But the one element of living on a boat that I half taught myself and half watched an engineer that I had come and do some work for me, and from there it was pretty much a simple process to I'm getting to what I'm getting to it. So well, what I'm trying to say is it's the electrical system is what I had experience in, what I enjoyed, and I learned. It's different from house electrics, because house electrics are alternating current, and they run at 240 volt, so that's like enough to kill somebody. But with boat electrics, obviously you're floating on water, so they use direct current, DC current, and only 12 volt. So you could literally touch like a live connection, and you'd barely feel anything, if anything. So anyway, that's where I've got some experience, and I enjoy. And with moving on to this boat, I've already purchased some of the electrical kit for it, and one of the elements is the batteries. Now, this is what I was going to talk about. This is what I've been getting to for the last 5 minutes now, and that is the battery technology. So for those that don't know, and I don't really know myself, but I'll try and talk both of us through this. For those that don't know, basically a standard battery, most batteries work by, how can I put it? So you have, I think it's called an anode and a cathode. It's like, I think it's almost like the direction the current flows. And in between that are plates, and the plates are made of lead, I believe, most of the time. I think that's correct. And what happens is it's a chemical reaction with batteries, basically. So in between all the plates and in between the points, a positive and negative, you have some sort of solution. And the solution is the electrolyte, where the electricity flows through. But what it is, because each time you cycle a battery, so each time it gets charged, I believe the electrolyte changes, or it's like all the ions go to one side, sort of thing. I can't remember exactly how it works, but it's a limited lifespan, and I'm not doing well explaining this, but I'll continue. It's a limited lifespan, and there are certain downsides to it. For instance, lead is often acidic, they're quite heavy, and it's quite an outdated technology. Even lithium batteries are still the same principle of positive, negative plates, and it's got to be a lithium, I guess, solution in between as the electrolyte. Now, what I'm the research I've done over the years, I found a new technology that is called supercapacitors. I don't know how many people are sticking around listening to this on a Sunday, but sorry, I just saw a dead mouse, and I was tuning in for a split second to all the possible spiritual connotations of seeing a dead mouse, but I realised I don't do that, so I saw a dead mouse. It's an experience. So back to the batteries. So what they've invented now is something called supercapacitors. Now, supercapacitors are basically, and this is from my understanding, so this might not be correct, 100% correct, but within everyday electronics like radios, TVs, etc., there are small components in them, and they're called capacitors. And my understanding is within these electronics, what these small capacitors do is, as the current flows through the device, these small capacitors, they hold a charge, and they discharge it to the device on load, I guess, as and when is needed. So they provide a burst of charge. And what they've managed to do is create larger scale capacitors, and they're called supercapacitors. I think they're about so big. They resemble a large battery, like the house batteries, and they string them together into a larger battery, and they connect all the positives, negatives, blah blah blah, and you get a supercapacitor battery. Oh, I'm laughing. I know this must be boring for people, but it's doing me good, I think. So I'm going to persist. Now, with supercapacitors, they work different to batteries. It's more like, pardon me, as I understand it, they work more on attraction. this is how I understand it. It's like, as the, oh God, basically they store it energetically. So where batteries store it chemically, the electricity, supercapacitors store it energetically. I'm doing terrible with this. I'm gonna have to leave it there. I can't do any more. I should have done research before. But essentially, I've purchased a battery made of supercapacitors, so it does the same job. The price is actually a lot cheaper. It can be charged quicker, it can be discharged quicker, and the lifespan, where a normal battery might be up to 5,000, say, cycles of charge, discharge before it's useless. Supercapacitors, by standard, they can run 1 million cycles. So lifespan and longevity is a lot greater. Essentially, it's I'll finish with a question, and the question is, I really don't understand why electric car companies don't use supercapacitors in their cars. I mean, it's a commonplace technology. As I said, it can be charged quicker, and because it can be discharged quicker, the car can actually draw more current from it. And it's got 1 million cycles, so where a Tesla battery might conk out in 10 years, a supercapacitor battery might last a lifetime, so that might be the answer. Anyway, thank you for listening while I exert some of this extra oxygen and bore you all about batteries and supercapacitors. Have a lovely day.